guys, we are back with another Farming Simulator 22 gameplay multiplayer series, the continuation of wheat harvest once again. As you can see, we once again got the 9610 Maximizer John Deere Combine going. Currently behind the wheel of that, and then over here next to me we got Farm Stock Diesel continuing the double crop soybean planting season. Those of you that have not seen our previous upload yet, we currently went ahead and we were able to buy a no-till drill. The drill that we had here on the farm before, unfortunately, was not a no-till drill. So anytime we wanted to use it, we had to work up the ground before we could plant it. And our goal is to be on a minimum till and no-till basis. Try not to do a whole lot of heavy tillage. So that's one reason why we went with a no-till drill, and the drill itself is actually a 1590 no-till drill. It's a John Deere drill. If it's something that sparks your interest, you can find the drill here on the game through the Mod Hub Center at the beginning of the game at the main menu, and it is under seeders. And all you have to do is just simply download it from the game. You don't have to download it from the website. So, other than that, everything's pretty much as it was from the last go-around. So,
why do you think they call them seeders?
What's
that's a weird thing. Don't you think that's kind of weird that the game calls them seeders? Like we call them drills around here, and like planter, and like planters would be like your corn planter. I thought that was that's kind of weird, you know. It just shows the difference in vocabulary across the world, I guess, you know.
Yeah. You also got to think about it. There is actually, actual like seeders that that John Deere makes. There's air seeders. John Deere makes an air seeder. So
right. Sure.
I guess that would fall under the category of seeders. And then, darn it, happened again. It happened the last go around.
Well, it's like another terminology that I've noticed. Like, people will be like, hey, did you get the bean head out this weekend? Bean head? You mean the grain table?
Yeah,
what? The grain table. I've never heard of it called that way. That's what that's what we call as a grain table. The grain table does all your major grains. Yes, is corn a form of a grain? Yeah, but the grain table does your wheat, does your beans, and, I don't know. It's weird. What do you guys call them?
We call it a grain head.
There you go.
Grain head, grain table, bean table. Yeah.
Now, corn head's the corn head, no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah.
See, Deere made a corn head that was, I believe, was this is one of the models I think I know is a 935, something like that. And it was you could take out beans with it.
Yep.
It was designed for low beans, low short beans or something like that.
They make it looks just like a corn head, but yeah, it's for harvesting soybeans. Yeah.
I thought that was weird.
Yeah, Dad used to know a guy around here that had one. I'd have to ask him about it. Yeah, I'd have to ask him about it again, who had it, but yeah, you don't really see too many of those around here anymore.
I know I came across it one day looking for a corn head for our tractor, or our combine, I'm sorry. Got to stay refreshed during these long days of farming.
Right. Hey,
What you have for?
Does this straight truck not have a big door on it?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can change it. I never checked with it. I never messed with it, I guess.
I just tried it. I didn't have any luck, but that's all right. It's unloading pretty quickly. Anyway, you were saying?
No, would you? What was your beer of choice today?
I actually had two brands. I got to the fair and well, I actually grabbed a Busch Light today, and then towards the end I grabbed Coors Light.
There you go. I can usually go back and forth on the Busch Light and the Coors Light.
But that was a couple days ago, because that was at the fair. The fair was a couple of days ago. Tonight I actually am just drinking straight Coors Light.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm a Coors guy, as you know. But I can do the Silver Bolts. I can do the Yellow Jackets, but I can do both. But recently, I've been a PBR kind of guy. That stuff's pretty good.
I'm gonna be quite honest with you. For the longest time I did kind of have like a personal preference, but if somebody's gonna walk up to me and hand me a beer, if it's a beer and it's cold and it's free, I'm gonna take it out of respect. Just as long as it's not that Bud Light crap. might have something to say about that.
Yeah, I seen that they've been having some commercials going on there, trying to revive themselves.
Yeah, they're not doing too good about that.
No.
Nope.
No.
No. There's been no this great big. There's been
no
this
commercial
big,
that's gonna bring you back from that.
No, they screwed themselves up big time.
Yeah. It don't matter. I think, just like we've talked before, it don't matter what you're what you're attracted to. If you're into dudes, great. If you're into girls, great. Whatever. No one cares. And it's not no one cares because no one gives a crap about your life. It's that no one cares because it doesn't affect them, right? But when you push it out on all of us and you make it to be it's about you, come on, guys. And then you get those same people come back at us and they're like, well, that's how we feel. Well, if you feel that way, I'm sorry, 'cause that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to live my life,
Yep. Yep, I know.
I just don't, just don't get. You don't gotta get crazy with these beer cans and making all these advertisements and supporting all these groups because, you could be. You just got to know your audience. Let's just say that. Let me just say that. You just got to know your audience.
The way I see it is, you know what? If you're gay, you're gay. Who cares? Go about your life. Nobody gives a crap what,
and if it makes you happy, great. Makes you happy. I'm glad for you. I'm happy for you. Go. You guys want to get married? Great. Get married. I don't know. Who cares? Really? Who cares? It does not affect me.
But then carry on afterwards. There shouldn't be. There shouldn't be a whole month about, about the gays and the freaking everybody else.
Yeah. Morgan Freeman had a little interview once, and the interviewer asked Morgan Freeman, he goes, "What you think about Black History Month?" And he goes, "What?" He goes, "Black History Month. What do you think about Black history?" He goes, don't care. He had that attitude of I don't care.
Yeah.
And how do you get over racism? Don't talk about it.
Exactly.
I'm going to refer you as XYZ, and you're going to refer me as Morgan Wallen, or not Wallen, Morgan Freeman. And that's just it. I'm going to refer to you as Cody, and you're going to refer to me as Alex, and I don't care what your name is, or it don't matter.
yeah, just, don't shove that crap down my throat. Like, I do not care. But something that I was really hoping that we could kind of talk about and today to kind of get on a more of an ag topic was I'd kind of like to talk a little bit, kind of get into a discussion. Sorry about that. About what's been going out in Illinois with the whole farm rescue program and whatnot. Everybody's been some pretty nasty things going on out there with some of the guys. A lot of equipment got nailed.
Yeah, they got tornadoes out there, flatline winds, crops are flattened out. Hell, the other day I was watching YouTube. I follow a Millennial Farmer, and he posted that he went over there to Illinois to help out this farm. Actually, it was Farm Rescue's 100th or 1,000th rescue.
Wow.
So that was Farm Rescue's 1,000th farm rescue. So they've helped out 1,000 farmers out of all those kinds of needs, man. They helped them out for sicknesses and the family, deaths, sudden deaths in the family. Mother Nature destruction, just like this happened here. It's a good program, man. It's a really good program. And, the fact of the matter is that not everyone knows this, but when you're a farmer, you don't get vacation. There's no such thing as, I'm going to take a vacation day. Grain farmers, they have it a lot easier. They do. You do your vacations in the winter time mainly. Sometimes in the summertime, depending on how your summers are going. But mostly when it's time to plant, it's time to plant. And it's time to harvest, it's time to harvest. And it's time to spray, it's time to spray. The people that really have it rough, though, is the dairy farmers. They don't, in all livestock, not just dairy farmers, just all livestock in general. They don't get a day off. There's no day off. You wake up at 3 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. You go out there and you feed the animals. They got to be fed every day, no matter if it's raining, cold, 104 degrees outside. They have to eat. And where farm rescue comes into play is that when you have a sudden death in the family, and it's time to take out that wheat, or it's time to plant, or it's time to take out that corn, or it's time to plant that year's crop, and so that family has a profit. I shouldn't say a profit, but an income that year. That's where farm rescue comes into play.
So, yeah, and then there's also farm aid as well.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, did you know that that Busch Light, though, they were doing that farm rescue thing again this year? Last year they did it with the John Deere cans, and the year before that they did it with the corn cans, but now they got the corn cans back out. But for every one case is bought, is 25 cents to farm rescue.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
Hey, Alex, it says we have no more room for wheat in the one bin. Yeah.
Wow. Did we max out already?
There's 148,000 liters in there.
Huh.
At least that's what this says. Or no, it says this silo is empty. What? Nope, here we go. I was standing next to the wrong bin. Yeah. Flat bottom bin, 3609. Wheat, 148,714 liters.
And that's full.
Apparently so, because I can't dump.
Well, I'll be dang. I thought that was I wonder what bin I bought then.
So, is there a certain way you got to switch these augers? Because I know I've never done it before.
Yeah, I'll get down there in a minute.
Of course, you're probably on the other end of the field too, aren't you?
Yeah. It says that thing holds 980,000 liters. That is weird. All right, let me
That
go
could
ahead.
be, but it just says wheat capacity, so I don't know if that means that we can only put 148,000 of wheat in there, and then the rest of it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this thing still. It dumped just a little bit out, and then it stopped. It said no more wheat capacity, so whatever that means.
It's kind of hard to drive over these pits with duals on them.
Yeah, tell me about it.
We probably should take the duals off. We wouldn't be doing that in real life. Yeah, we're gonna have to take the duals off that thing.
I mean, it's manageable. I mean, I can still get across it. It's just, yeah, we'll have to take the duals off. The time comes. So yeah, the reason that we called whoops,
glitched out on me.
You'll
we have that on the internet. Well, yeah, it's technology. It's at the end of the day, it's a game. How you can't get that realistic on it.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, in case you're wondering why I called Alex over here to switch everything over, it was because he's more of an auger guy than what I am. I've never actually set one of these up before in the game, so he's done it a few times, so it's just as easy for him to do it. Now, why in the heck was that dumping?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Oop, I gotta back up here.
See, now it says I can dump. What the heck?
We gotta take the duals off that thing. It probably couldn't dump it because it was
I don't know. That was weird. Well, I mean, I guess leave it on that bin, I suppose. Alright, got the duals off.
That's good.
Man, you're moving right along.
I was. And then I gotta fix this auger.
Yeah, that's okay. give me time to kind of get ahead of you. But yeah, kind of getting back to the topic we were talking about earlier, to farm rescue, it just, we've said this before, that it just kind of, it sucks that, there's just always, somebody out there that, has to suffer and go through stuff like that. It's just one of them things where you hate to see it happen to, you hate to see it happen to farmers like that, and you think just how god awful it is that, now they got to replace all that equipment. And I'm sure they got to replace, I'm sure equipment wasn't the only thing that they lost. I'm sure they lost, storage barns, cold storage barns, shops, grain bins, and I'm sure, some of their crops probably are not looking the greatest now either since that happened.
Right. And not only that, look at it as a family aspect.
Yeah.
They went. They were saying in that video that he was, his family, his kids were all in their PJs and they were going to bed that night. But before they were going to bed, they didn't want them to, they didn't put them to bed yet because they didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And when they saw the storm coming pretty close, they took shelter, and they hunkered down and went through the storm. And then they opened up their storm cellar, and they walked into their house blown away. Half of the house was just gone. Their farm equipment was destroyed. The barns were just flattened on their equipment. Silos were blown across the road. Just imagine that, man. It's more like, think about your family. Like, you sat there and you built up this legacy. You built the house, you built that barn, you built that, or you put that time in, and it was just, it took years to do it, and then it was gone in 10 seconds, 10 minutes, whatever the case is.
Yeah, just, like you were saying, just the fact that, all you can do is just sit there knowing that the storm is going to do, severe damage to, and there ain't a darn thing that you can do about it to stop it. It's just, it's, fortunately for us, we've never, knock on wood, we've never really had any major catastrophes or major events like that happen to us, but I feel for them, and I feel bad that they're not going to have they're not going to have a crop to harvest. They're not going to have equipment to use. They're basically going to have to start. They're going to have to start all over again.
Right.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, thank God that we have, Farm Rescue and Farm Aid to help out farmers, when things like this happen. And, thank God for, insurance, and, so that equipment's insured, barns are insured, stuff like that. But, not trying to talk bad on the insurance companies or anything like that, but I can just already imagine that they're probably going to come up with, every excuse under the sun and in the book to not, completely help out the farmer all the way,
Yeah, and just think, guys, those who don't know that you can get farm insurance. Like, you can get insurance like your car, or if you guys are kids, like your parents, they have insurance on their vehicles and their house and their belongings, and so farmers can get insurance too. And they can get insurance on their property, their barns, their equipment, everything.
We can even get it for our crops.
They can also get it for your crops. That's what I was just getting at. And but just like anything else in life, there's stipulations to the rule. So I don't know if you guys have heard me say this several times or a couple times, but we had to get our beans, our double crop beans, by the 15th of July. And to be able to have them in that time, then we are qualified for crop insurance. And if we don't get them in by the 15th, we're not qualified for it. So if something were to happen and throughout the growing season of those beans, and we would have to make a claim on those beans, and they weren't planted by the 15th, there's no coverage for them. We missed that date, so therefore the loss is a loss. Now, if we have them in by that said date that the insurance company gives you, so the 15th of July for us, I'm sure it's probably the same for across the board. I don't know. It's farming's different. It's different 5 miles down the road, or it could be different 500 miles down the road. But if we have it in by the 15th and something would to happen, we would basically make a claim on it, and we would get what they would say is fair market value for the acreage that was planted. And basically all that does for anyone that's out there, you're like, oh well, they can just write it off. Guys, it don't work that way. It's just enough to pay what you got into it. I'm just gonna be blunt. It's not like we're into making millions. I mean, millions. Not into it like we're making hundreds of dollars off of profit. If anything, it's to cover what we had into it. So
pretty much. That's pretty much it. There's these people out there who don't have a freaking clue, who say that farmers are some of the biggest welfare queens out there. Well, that's not true. We're not welfare queens by any means. We would much rather have a good, profitable crop, because just like Alex said, we would make a lot more money having a crop than what we would just making enough money to pay off our inputs and paying off our cost per acre into the farm itself. But we're not the welfare queens that some of these people make us out to be. That's not who we are. And it ain't no different than somebody that loses their job and files for unemployment until they get a new job. It's it may not seem like a whole lot. Unemployment may not pay a whole lot, but it helps you out somewhat in the long run until you can find a new job. So,
and as much as farming is a passion for all of us, to tag on to what Cody's saying, it is a business, and so you got to treat it like a business. So let's just keep it for simple for the people out there that are like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, let's say a landscaping business, okay? just for example purposes. Do you go ahead and you made $30,000 a year, and you got done paying your fuel, so let's just say it's $1,000 for that year, and you bought you had maintenance, so let's say you had about $2,500 into that, and then you go ahead and you had your sales tax and we're not sales tax, but your taxes involved with that, because you got to pay taxes on it. You got to pay taxes on the money you receive.
Oh yeah.
And so all this stuff adds up, right, guys? Did you really make $35,000 that year? No. You made probably what? After you figure it all in, after you get all the and other expenses, you probably made 20, 25, 28, something like that. So then, do you spend that $28,000? Heck no, you don't spend all of that. You take half of that and you keep it for yourself, and you put the other half in the business, because you got to have that money for rainy days, right? And same as farmers, we can't spend all that. We can't use all that because next year, the following year, they're gonna jack the prices up, because as crop prices go up, you can be damn sure that the fertilizer cost and the herbicides and the pesticides and all those things that we need to put out a good yielding crop will come out of that, and therefore we'll take out of our basically our income. So, just this year, Cody, I saw that the fertilizer costs, they went up 260% since last year.
I believe it. I believe
260% since last year.
I believe it. I believe it. No doubt. And here we are talking about how high input costs are. There's probably people out there, thinking, well, why don't you just not put fertilizer down? It'll save you money. Well, unfortunately, that's not how, things work, especially when you're, raising crops like we do. We've actually have seen it firsthand what happens when you don't fertilize. When you don't fertilize, we'll just say corn, for example. Corn gets fertilized when you plant it, and it also gets nitrogen put on it pre-plant, or some guys side dress with 28 as well. But if you were to compare corn that's been fertilized versus corn that's not fertilized, you would not believe the yield difference in fertilized versus not. And when you raise corn, you put you can either do one of two things. You can put down anhydrous ammonia in the spring, or some guys do put it down in the fall. Put it down pre-plant, and then go ahead and once you get done pre-planting, you can go ahead and you work the ground and you get the corn planted. Or some guys will go through and knife in anhydrous and side dress with anhydrous, or some guys also side dress with 28 or 32%, which is urea. So between those options, and then when you go to plant it, you're also putting down starter fertilizer. So what I'm getting at is it takes a lot of fertilizer to grow corn. And some people would probably say, and this is people that don't know, don't live on a farm, never been on a farm, don't know anything about raising crops. While we're sitting here talking about how expensive inputs is, their questions are, well, do you really need it? Do you really need to use the fertilizer? Do you really need to use this? Do you really need to use that? Well, yes. In order for us to get a profitable and money-making crop out of our corn crop, you have to do all of those things, or it's not going to pay for itself in the long run, and you'll actually not make near as much money off of that crop as what you would if you went through and did what you were supposed to do as far as the fertilizing goes and taking care of the crop. It's just like a crop is just like a human being. If we take food, and food gives us energy. It's just like fertilizer. Fertilizer is, how crops get their nutrients, like we get our nutrients through food. There's fertilizer, photosynthesis, and so, and the crop also only takes up what is needed, which is why it's very important that we're not over fertilizing or under fertilizing. So guys will go out and they'll soil sample, and we'll get prescription maps made, and the prescription map is is then put into their whatever system they use, whether it's Greenstar, whether it's Raven, Ag Leader, whichever. And you're going across the field come planting time, and you're putting on your fertilizer. The planter will only put on what the prescription map calls for. So you can be, at we'll just say 100-acre field just to make it easy. And there can be certain areas in the field, depending on what kind of soil you have, where, one side may call for a little bit more fertilizer, or you might get over to another, side of the field and it may not take as much. So that's kind of a little I guess a little knowledge segment for you there. But anyway, kind of not to get off topic there too much is
no, I mean,
we got to have the fertilizer in order to grow corn, guys. That's the bottom line. Is you can't grow corn without fertilizer. It's just plain and simple.
Yeah, at the end of the day, as much as this game is really fun and this is something that relaxes us, it's all this does. This game just relaxes the both of us. It's something that we can sit here, have some beers, and just conversate, talk, and be and something to do commonly. But at the end of the day, it's more than what you see on this screen. It's more than just driving a tractor down the field. There's an actual science to it. There's an actual, a method to the madness. To tag off of what Cody was saying, absolutely, can we have can we produce a crop that without fertilizer? Yes. But it's not going to produce yield. And at the end of the day, yield is what makes us money. At the end of the day, yield is what makes us the profit that we need to feed our families, buy those Christmas gifts that our kids want, or that car payment that our wife has, or that tractor payment that we need because we got tired of using that old tractor that we have. Though that's no different than you having a bonus. So that's what it's like. And sorry, I got off topic here. I have to turn around here. Anyways, sorry guys. I like squirrel moment there. But turn on I got the seeder turned off. I don't know why I did that. So anyways, that's what we need. At the end of the day, that's what we need to have a profit and to pay our bills. And it goes back to 2 episodes ago. We were talking about GMOs, and if we wouldn't put fertilizer on the crops, we wouldn't create the yield. We're not paying for the fuel. At that point, you might as well just let the field go to Mother Nature, because there's no point of us driving that equipment down the field, because it's not going to pay for the diesel. It's not going to pay for what we had into it. And at the end of the day, definitely ain't going to feed everyone else in the world, So it's kind of like that with the GMOs, because, GMOs serve a purpose to produce more food and make more yield. But by producing more food and more yield, we have to be able to feed it. And feeding it is that fertilizer, is the nutrients. That's no different than you having your vitamins that you need every day. No different. But you'll also get people out there that'll say, well, you got those big sprayers out there and you put all these chemicals in the plants and you're poisoning the water and runoff. Well, again, there's more to that too, because you put such a little amount on, like Cody was telling you, a prescription, those chemicals on, that it's so concentrated that it really just affects the crop. Yes, it does go in the ground. We're not going to argue that. But by the time it goes through the ground, 4 feet in the ground, or 3 feet, or depending on where your frost line is, 6 feet, whatever it is, and it gets into the tile, then it gets into the tile to the ditches, and from the ditches to the river, it doesn't have that much into it. And honestly, depending on the chemical you use, we're using probably a tablespoon to maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of that product compared to what, Cody, 100 gallons of water, if that. Like it's not, it's not a lot, or maybe even a gallon of water. No, it's not. And I don't spray. We have custom people come out and spray. So I'm kind of getting off of my experience, I guess. But that's just what I just know that we don't put that much down. It just really don't.
Well, and again, there's no point in putting down a lot, because you don't need a lot. And something else that people need to realize is that when crops are sprayed, 99% of the time, or we'll say 90% of the time, maybe even less than that, because, and you'll understand where I'm going with this, but when people spray Roundup, when people spray herbicides, when people spray insecticides, when farmers spray those things on corn, soybeans, wheat, alfalfa, whatever, a lot of those products are sprayed on the crop when it's first growing. It's not like we're going out and we're spraying Roundup on or herbicides or insecticides or anything like that. It's not like we're spraying those chemicals on the crop itself that we harvest and that we ingest. A lot of the crops are sprayed, before there's any crop even being produced on the stalk itself. So when guys put fungicides on, yeah, it's normally, the corn's normally tasseled and, stuff like that. But that's fungicide. But yeah, a lot of the products go on way before the crop even starts producing, the actual crop itself. So it's not like the corn, the beans, the wheat, what have you, is getting, doused with chemicals. That's not the case at all.
I always like to think of it as this way. You always hear the saying, don't throw rocks at my glass house if you have rocks that can be thrown at your glass house. And then what that means is being said is that we are all stewards of the land. Where I'm going with that is we are all stewards of the land. We got to make a profit off this land. Okay, we got to live off this land. So we're going to do our damnedest not to have too much soil erosion. We don't want to lose our soil. They don't make it anymore. So what we got is what we got. We don't want to do any chemical we don't want to put too much chemicals in the soil, because that will affect our next year's crop too. You got to think about it that way, that whatever we put in, and if it doesn't coincide with the crop that we put in next year, and we put too much of it in, and it's still magically there, it will kill that crop. And another thing is that you got to think of it as, look at that Mountain Dew that you're drinking. Have you ever sat there and read the label in the back of that Mountain Dew? Do you think that half, if not 60% of those chemicals that are in that Mountain Dew is healthy for you? And you're worried about 3 or 4 tablespoons of pesticide that we put on every acre? And that's what it is. It's 3 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons of that chemical per acre. So it's not. And this is not to be a yelling thing or anything like that, or not yelling, but this is our talks and everything. This is how we usually do it. But there's more to it. Hey guys, we're not experts. Oh my God, we have a lot to learn, and you will always continue learning. But this is the experiences that we know. This is what we know, that how we have to keep up with the life. So,
and obviously we've made it quite clear by now that, me and Alex are both conventional farmers. We both born and raised on conventional farms, and we raise GMO crops. We spray Roundup, we spray herbicides, we spray insecticides, we use fertilizers. We use nitrogen. All that good stuff we use to grow our crops. But that doesn't mean that we're going to go out and we're going to badmouth organic or non-GMO farmers. Just because
Absolutely.
they farm differently from us. So you know what? If somebody wants to raise organic crops, or they want to raise crops that are non-GMO, by all means, you go ahead and you grow that organic corn or beans or wheat or whatever you want to grow.
Go for it. There's a market for it.
Yeah, there's an absolute market for it. But if an organic farmer or a non-GMO farmer is going to turn around and bash our way of farming, then we're going to step up and we're going to defend ourselves. But so are we going to talk about why our way of farming is good? Absolutely. We're not going to sit here and tell you bad things about raising GMO crops, because like we said before, GMO farming, conventional farming, is needed in this world. There is no way to produce enough crops to feed the world as a whole. And
eventually you'll see it where across the pond, the population's getting so high across the pond, and it's getting to urban areas. The farmland is not out there, guys. We have to be the farm. We have to be out there. We have to provide. Is there a more efficient way of doing it? Guys, we can always progress. We can always do things better. We can always learn from our mistakes, and we can always learn from other mistakes. But at this point in our generation, this current time of life, this is the only thing that's economical. It's the only thing that's costing. It's not costing us as much, but it's giving us a little bit of a profit, with very low overhead. It might get to the point where, we might have to have 15 tractors out there doing 15 jobs at 15 different fields, and we get rid of our big giant equipment because it costs less. And then you look at that circle; it just turned into a vicious circle, because we went from having 2-cylinder John Deere tractors farming 20-acre fields that took us all day to do, and then some, 2 days practically, probably, to now having 50-foot drapers on combines that can bust out a 20-acre field in less than an hour. And we're talking 15 minutes probably.
Oh yeah.
15 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yep. So, yeah, the fact that equipment's getting bigger and yields are getting bigger should really say something. And for those of you that don't know this,
and that just didn't happen by accident, guys. That happened because it was a need. It happened because we need to make more food. So how can we make more food? How can we make more money? We have to make it more efficient. Sorry about that, Cody. I didn't mean to put you.
No, you're fine. So for those of you that don't know, I don't know if I ever mentioned this in my videos in the past, but I graduated high school in 2015, and then I went to college for about 2.5 years. Went to Ohio State ATI in Worcester, and I got a degree in crop management. Throughout my 2.5 years of being in school, I took a class. It was called Intro to Sustainable Agriculture. And part of that class was we had a lecture. So we had our classroom lecture, and then we also had, every other day, we would have a lab. And we would go and we would visit different farms. And, we'd go look at livestock farms, grain farms, fruit farms, stuff like that. We went to great big orchards and was able to see, different types of farming and different ways of growing crops and growing fruit and raising livestock. And we went to a farmer who raised organic corn and organic soybeans. And by telling this story, I'm not bashing organic farmers, not bashing non-GMO farmers. This is just an experience that I want to share with you guys to try and prove a point as to why we need GMOs. But again, getting back to the story, we visited a farmer who raised organic corn and organic soybeans. Talked to him for a little bit, and one of the kids that was in my class asked him, what is the average yield that you try to get out of organic crops? And he said that when you're farming organically, we normally shoot for 100 bushel corn and 20 to 25 bushel beans. Now, granted, he did say that the price for organic crops is a lot higher. You can get a lot more money for organic crops versus GMO crops.
And you said 100 bushel corn and 25 bushel wheat, right?
Beans. Soybeans.
Beans. Okay, so
soybeans.
To keep that in mind, that is 100 bushels per acre.
Yes.
And 25 bushels per acre.
Yes.
Just keep that story in mind, people.
So, yeah, he might have been able to get a little bit more per bushel, for his corn and for his soybeans because they were organic. But something that you have to keep in mind is, if he's got, we'll just say he's got 20 acres of organic corn, 100 bushel times 20 acres, how many bushels is that? You take 100 bushel times 20, and that is your total yield for the farm. So that's 2,000 bushel, right?
100 bushels times 20 acres. Yeah, it's actually two. Yeah.
So that's 2,000 bushels. That's 2,000 bushels that he got off of 20 acres.
Right.
Versus somebody like us who raises conventional corn, where we get 200 to 230, sometimes 250 bushel corn.
That's if that. I mean, guys, it'd be if we're getting above 180, we're doing 180 is what? That wasn't our worst year, but we could have done better. If we got 200 bushel corn, hell, yes, we'll take it. Anything after 200 bushel is a godsend some years.
Yes.
And I say a godsend meaning at that point we're just at that. That's our bonus. Around us, I should say, because around the world it could be different.
So what I'm getting at is, I've already proven that, we would get more bushels off of 20 acres at 225 versus 100. And it's the same way with soybeans. Something else that you have to think about is, even though he's getting more bang for his buck, he's able to get a few more dollars out of his crop than what we were. You also have to think about, all the extra fuel that he has to burn.
I got this, Cody. You want to go back and go back to harvesting?
Yeah. You also got to think about how much fuel he had to burn to cultivate his crops. It probably wouldn't affect him so much on a small scale, but on a large scale, can you imagine cultivating 1,200 acres of crops? I'm just saying that because we got 1,200 acres, but guys that have 2,000 to 3,000 acres, sometimes more than that, cultivate corn and soybeans 2 to 3 times a year to prevent the weeds.
Yeah, guys, it would take a 20-acre field sometimes a day to do. And I say a day, I don't mean 24 hours. I mean a working day. I take not like 8, 12, 14 hours. It would take that long. Some Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on which equipment you got, depending on, there's a lot of variables. It's not just the answer, but it's not feasible. And then with that same comment that people are like, well, go with non-GMO or go with non-GMO, go with organic. Okay. Well, in order for us to take care of that crop, to make sure it doesn't get overbearing with weeds, we got to cultivate. Yes. Okay, so that means you were just worried about the ozone layer burning up because there's so much emissions in the field, or so much emissions in the air. We got to burn twice. We got to burn 4 times, sometimes 6 times as much diesel on that one field just to produce a crop, so it's able to, so the weeds don't overbear it, so they don't overtake it. So, are you worried about ozone layer, or are you worried about GMOs? You got to pick a devil here. You can't have them both. Well, we have electric tractors. No, well, no, we don't. Well, sure we do. Well, again, no, we don't, because they're not affordable. They're not practical. They're not doable. You can't use them. You can't do anything with them. We can't afford them if they were here. And that's the biggest thing, is that we can't afford them. And then we could get government subsidies about it, but that turns into a whole nother topic. That turns into a whole nother problem of a list of issues, because, yeah, they give out money to free for everyone else, but they don't give out money to us all the time. People think they do.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, what do you think we are at here, Big Country Farmer?
We are at almost an hour. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get down here to the other end of the field and go ahead and wrap it up for the night.
Well, I think that I think today's conversation was a good conversation. I think we brushed up on a lot of topics, and we could have gone in more detail with a lot of topics, and we may do.
Absolutely.
You guys get on that comment button, start commenting your statements or your questions or your concerns. We'll write them down. We'll talk about them. We'll talk more in depth into them. Because we don't know everything. We don't, and nor do we not know everything. We'll talk about anything at this point.
Absolutely. And this is gonna sound really repetitive on my end, but I really want to make this clear, coming from both of us, that anything that we talk about, anything that we say, anything that we bring up during these videos while we're playing, it's nothing to take offense from. It's nothing to get aggravated about. It's just stuff that we talk about, and like I said, we talk about organic crops, we talk about non-GMO crops. It's not that we're bashing them. We're just talking about them and just, explaining why we have to have genetically modified crops. It's been proven, and I've even had quite a few people who raise non-GMO and organic crops say that we need genetically modified crops. It's not so much the farmers who raise the crops that bash, conventional farmers. It's these other people who have never been on a farm before, who are so misinformed and don't know anything about genetically modified organisms, that are spreading false information and giving farmers who raise non-GMO crops a bad name because they're going around and spreading misinformation about us that's not true. Just for a prime example, there's people that go out and think that we just completely dose the living hell out of our crops with chemicals. That is not true come harvest time. I already said before, when we apply fertilizer and herbicides and insecticides to our crops, it's all done when the crop is little and it is, starting out and just now growing. There's no crop on the stalk itself whatsoever. So it's not, like I said, it's not like we're out there you know, dumping Roundup and dumping herbicides on you know, on crops. You know, that's not what we're doing at all. So, but again, if it ever get, you know, anything that we talk about is not going to be, you know, made to offend anybody, make anybody angry. You know, it's, you know, we're not trying to make people feel, you know, like our way is the only way. Is it what makes the world go around? Absolutely.
Right.
So,
well, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that ring bell and stay up to date on the channel, making sure you guys get notifications on when the next episode comes up and even further episodes. Because not only are there going to be some gaming ones on here to kill time on our beer nights, there will be uh, actual footage of farming, as you've seen in the past from Big Country Farmers. So make sure
yep,
you hit that ring bell.
It's getting to that point to where there's not going to really be a whole lot of lot more. There isn't really going to be a whole lot of, you know, videos like that coming up here. A lot of things are getting wrapped up here for the season, and basically it's going to be a matter of kind of just waiting until fall, and like to, you know, also get some landscape videos out to you guys as well, and show you guys what I do out when I'm out on the job mowing for people, and kind of make it like a variety of things here on the channel, not just make it one certain thing. But so that being said, guys, we're out of here. That does it for us tonight, and be on the lookout for the next upload, which I hope to be getting out to you guys here very soon.